And the lawyer I had at the time was like, yeah, we're just going to take the 4-year deal.
That 4-year sentence is no longer just talk, it's officially reality. Chrisean Rock has now been sentenced to prison, forcing her to leave behind her young son, her career, and the life she spent years building. What makes this story even shocking is that it wasn't one mistake that brought her here. 3 different states, 2 felony cases, and even an arrest while holding her own baby all became pieces of the same puzzle. Every decision slowly pushed her toward this exact moment. The public image she worked so hard to create suddenly came to a complete halt. But the real story goes much deeper than the headlines. Let's break down the charges, the cases spread across multiple states, and how everything eventually caught up with her. Chrisean Rock, whose legal name is Chrisean Eugenia Malone, was born on March 14, 2000 in West Baltimore. She rose to fame as a rapper and reality TV personality through Zeus Network's Baddies, while also remaining in a highly publicized relationship with Blueface, with the couple welcoming a son in September 2023. By just 24 years old, she had already accumulated legal problems spanning 3 states, including 2 felony charges and an outstanding fugitive warrant that was simply waiting for the wrong moment to catch up with her. Her earliest documented legal issue dates back to May 2020 in Maryland, where she faced marijuana possession and drug paraphernalia charges. After failing to appear in court, a bench warrant was issued against her in July 2021. Around that same time, her online popularity was beginning to explode through her connection with Blueface and the viral attention surrounding their relationship. Meanwhile, the Maryland case remained unresolved, sitting quietly in the background while her fame continued to grow. Looking back, a troubling pattern was already forming. Legal trouble would surface, court appearances would be missed, and the cycle would repeat. The case that truly changed everything arrived in February 2022 in Craig County, Oklahoma. During a traffic stop over an unpaid toll, she was riding as a passenger when state troopers reportedly detected the smell of marijuana and searched the vehicle. Investigators discovered approximately 1 pound of cannabis inside the car. According to reports, Chrisean admitted that the marijuana belonged to her. That single traffic stop resulted in 2 felony charges: possession of a controlled dangerous substance with intent to distribute, and possession without the required tax stamp. Under Oklahoma law, each felony carried a potential sentence of up to 4 years in prison. Combined, she was facing the possibility of 8 years behind bars. Even then, she wasn't immediately taken to prison because the legal process continued to move slowly. She returned to California, resumed her highly publicized life with Blueface, and continued living under the constant spotlight of social media. What many people didn't realize was that Oklahoma hadn't forgotten about the case. It was simply waiting for its time. Everything changed in March 2023 when Chrisean accepted a guilty plea. Instead of sending her straight to prison, the judge gave her a second chance with 4 years of probation and ordered her to complete 120 hours of community service before September 2023. The message was simple: stay out of trouble, finish the required hours, and follow the court's rules. But that opportunity slowly slipped away because those community service hours were never completed. By the beginning of 2024, prosecutors in Oklahoma had reached their limit and decided they were done waiting. They filed to revoke her deferred judgment, and before long, a felony fugitive warrant was officially issued. Rather than quietly dealing with the situation, Chrisean addressed it herself during an Instagram Live in March 2024. She openly said she wasn't planning to go to jail because she was focused on raising her son and wasn't about to surrender on anyone else's timeline. Those comments quickly spread across social media, and once they were public, law enforcement was paying close attention. While that legal trouble continued to grow, another serious case was unfolding in California. On November 10, 2023, during Tamar Braxton's concert at the Novo in downtown Los Angeles, Chrisean was accused of attacking backup dancer James Wright Chanel. According to the allegations, she struck him while wearing rings, leaving him with 2 broken teeth. Prosecutors officially filed charges on January 23, 2024, including assault with a deadly weapon and battery. A month later, Wright also filed a civil lawsuit accusing her of assault, battery, and emotional distress. By the spring of 2024, the pressure was coming from every direction: an active felony warrant in Oklahoma, an open assault case in California, a baby who wasn't even a year old yet, and Blueface dealing with his own legal issues. Even with all of that hanging over her, she continued appearing online, attending public events, and moving around Los Angeles as if nothing was about to happen. Then everything caught up with her on June 10, 2024, when she arrived at the Van Nuys courthouse in the San Fernando Valley to support Blueface during his probation hearing. Her infant son was with her when she got there. Officers were already waiting, and she was taken into custody almost immediately. The Oklahoma fugitive warrant and the California assault case collided in one dramatic moment inside a courthouse parking lot while she was still holding her baby. Just 4 days later, on June 14th, she entered a no-contest plea to the assault with a deadly weapon charge. The court sentenced her to 30 days in jail and 12 months of probation, while the battery charge was dismissed. She served that sentence at Century Regional Detention Facility in Linwood before being extradited to Oklahoma. Around August 7, 2024, she was booked into the Craig County Detention Center in Veneta, where the case that had followed her for years was finally waiting. Her mugshot spread across blogs and drama pages almost instantly, becoming one of the biggest viral stories of the week. Once she was back in Oklahoma, there was no avoiding the consequences of the 2022 felony case, and even by Chrisean's own account, the legal deal her attorney was trying to negotiate was far from the outcome she had hoped for.
The lawyer I had at the time was like, yeah, we're just going to take the 4-year deal.
In the end, Chrisean made the decision to let that attorney go and put her faith in a different path. Somehow, the case was ultimately resolved without the lengthy prison sentence many believed was coming. But make no mistake, the possibility of spending years behind bars was very real. By early September 2024, she was finally released after spending nearly 3 months between both detention facilities. During that time, her son celebrated his very first birthday without his mother by her side. Looking back on everything, even Chrisean admitted this wasn't a situation that came out of nowhere. According to her own words, the warning signs had been there all along, and the road to jail had been building one decision at a time.
Was it your son that made you want to do this?
It motivated me and encouraged me, but when I went to jail,
Her son became the reason she wanted to change, while her time behind bars became the moment that forced everything into perspective. Those two realities weren't separate. They were deeply connected. That's the official legal timeline. That's exactly how the paperwork tells the story. But if you think the court documents explain everything, there's a much bigger picture. To understand how she ended up being arrested with a warrant hanging over her while holding her baby, you have to go back to where her rise to fame actually began. A huge part of that story starts with what many people call the Blueface effect. Whether people like hearing it or not, nearly every major legal issue Chrisean Rock faced traces back in some way to her relationship with Blueface, not as an excuse, but as part of the timeline. Her 2020 Maryland charges were relatively minor compared to everything that followed. The case that truly pulled her deeper into the legal system involved the accusations surrounding a stolen vehicle, the cross-country trip toward Baltimore, the Oklahoma traffic stop, and the discovery of nearly a pound of marijuana that ultimately led to 2 felony charges. Much of that chapter began after she moved into Blueface's mansion in 2020 as a contestant on his Blue Girls Club reality series for OnlyFans. What started as a competition during the COVID era quickly became something much bigger. Several women were living under the same roof, competing for Blueface's attention, but Chrisean immediately stood out because of how fiercely devoted she appeared. Unfortunately, that loyalty often came without concern for protecting herself. She even fought Blueface's longtime partner, Jaden Alexis, during the show and lost one of her front teeth in the altercation.
Even so, she won the competition, signed with his label, and entered a relationship where many viewers believed the standards were completely one-sided. Blueface could openly entertain other women, while Chrisean was expected to remain loyal regardless of what happened. He could publicly embarrass her, yet she repeatedly defended him no matter how controversial things became. From tattooing his face on her body to writing his name in blood and constantly defending him online, her actions went far beyond ordinary loyalty. Many critics describe the relationship as a trauma bond rather than a healthy romance, and when you examine the legal troubles between 2022 and 2024, his influence appears somewhere in nearly every chapter. The Oklahoma arrest happened while she was riding in a vehicle that Blueface publicly claimed she had taken without permission, his G-Wagon. Both Blueface and WAC 100 immediately criticized her online, and once news of the Oklahoma arrest spread, public opinion shifted almost overnight. The narrative quickly became that she was the reckless one, while he appeared to be the stable figure in the situation. What received far less attention was the marijuana discovered inside that vehicle, which Chrisean admitted belonged to her, and ultimately became the reason Oklahoma authorities kept her case alive for years. Another legal incident followed in Arizona during 2022 while both of them were at the same location. After footage showed Chrisean striking Blueface, she was charged with disorderly conduct and criminal trespassing. Those charges weren't isolated incidents. They reflected the ongoing instability that had been growing inside the relationship from the very beginning. This wasn't a single emotional outburst. It had become a repeating pattern. Then, in October 2022, Chrisean went live on Instagram showing visible injuries and claimed Blueface had physically assaulted her while they were inside a moving vehicle. The allegations spread rapidly because she made them publicly and identified him by name. However, the following day she walked those claims back, saying she had been intoxicated and that Blueface had actually been trying to stop her from jumping out of the car. That reversal didn't erase what people had already witnessed. Instead, it reinforced the same cycle that fans had watched unfold repeatedly: serious accusations followed by public retractions, only for another controversy to emerge weeks later. By 2023, the couple had transformed their turbulent relationship into Zeus Network's Chrisean Rock, a reality series that documented nearly every argument, confrontation, and emotional breakdown for entertainment. Viewers watched lie detector tests, explosive fights, emotional confrontations, and even a staged wedding, all packaged as reality television. Many critics argue that the relationship itself had become a business model built around constant chaos, and it's difficult to ignore that perspective. Walking away from Blueface also meant walking away from the platform that introduced her to millions of people. Remaining inside the drama kept her in the spotlight, and over time, the controversy itself became part of the brand. Years later, Chrisean even acknowledged that reality herself, not to make excuses or defend her choices, but simply by admitting how everything had unfolded.
Crazy in love scenes and stuff, and I was never happy.
Looking back at every chapter of that relationship, she admitted something that says it all. Despite everything they experienced together, she couldn't point to a single moment that she truly considered genuine happiness.
I was happy, but I was drunk, but I was never happy.
Not even one moment that looked convincing on camera, or could be mistaken for real happiness, no matter what emotions or circumstances surrounded it.
In a dark space, knowing I don't belong here.
That reality show lasted for multiple seasons, yet looking back, Chrisean admitted she knew deep down she was stuck in a situation that wasn't healthy and couldn't find a way to escape it. That's no longer just reality TV. That's someone living through their own downfall while cameras capture every step. But the story doesn't end there, because Blueface wasn't only bringing emotional turmoil into her life. At the same time, he was dealing with major legal problems of his own. In October 2022, he was accused of firing shots into an occupied vehicle outside a Las Vegas strip club following an argument that reportedly started over a joke. Those allegations led to attempted murder charges before he eventually accepted a plea agreement, reducing the case to battery and discharging a firearm. As part of that deal, he received probation along with a suspended prison sentence that could be enforced if he violated the court's conditions. That's exactly what happened. In August 2024, a Los Angeles judge revoked that opportunity and sentenced him to 4 years in state prison. After serving roughly 2 years, he was released around November 2025. What's even more unbelievable is that both Blueface and Chrisean ended up incarcerated during nearly the same period. Meanwhile, their young son remained on the outside, relying on whoever could care for him. That wasn't some strange coincidence. It was the predictable outcome of years filled with instability, legal trouble, and one reckless decision after another, until the courts finally stopped giving second chances. In my opinion, that's the part many people overlook. The biggest impact Blueface had wasn't tied to just one arrest or one incident. It was the non-stop chaos surrounding their lives, the constant drama, the unstable lifestyle, and the environment that made even basic legal responsibilities almost impossible to keep up with.
Chrisean was ordered to complete only 120 hours of community service, yet those hours were never finished. Whether it was because of the relationship, the constant turmoil, or her own decisions, failing to meet that requirement became the turning point. That single probation violation transformed a favorable plea deal into an active fugitive warrant, and that warrant ultimately led to her arrest in broad daylight outside the Van Nuys courthouse, while she was there supporting a man who was already headed toward his own prison sentence. But there's another piece of this story that rarely gets discussed. According to Chrisean herself, Blueface wasn't only damaging her personal life, she claimed he was also standing in the way of her career, and she publicly spoke about that long before everything reached this point.
Yo, I be feeling like my baby father got a lot to do with why a lot of niggas can't fuck with me or work with me, for real, cause
This wasn't based on rumors or internet theories. It was something Chrisean personally stated. She claimed Blueface's constant controversies pushed away artists, record labels, and potential collaborators who didn't want to be associated with the drama and legal issues that seemed to follow wherever he went.
or how he is over me, so I'ma just leave that there.
According to the timeline of events, Chrisean's legal troubles unfolded while she was driving a vehicle connected to Blueface, found herself facing charges tied to environments surrounding that relationship, failed to complete her required community service as her personal life became increasingly unstable, and later claimed that the same relationship was also costing her professional opportunities. Looking at the full picture, it's easy to understand why many people believe this wasn't a healthy relationship at all. It became a cycle that made moving forward feel almost impossible. And that's where the story takes another dramatic turn. The conversation shifted away from courtrooms and straight to the most emotional chapter of all: her son, the public reaction, and the voices that refused to let the issue fade. Out of every controversy Chrisean Rock has faced, from criminal charges to public fights and years of relationship drama, nothing sparked more intense public attention than her pregnancy and the discussions surrounding her child. The moment she announced she was expecting in early 2023, online conversations changed almost overnight. What many people had previously treated as celebrity entertainment suddenly became a topic of constant public scrutiny. By the time clips from her interview with the Danza Project spread across social media in 2025, the internet had become intensely divided, with millions weighing in on every statement she made. From the earliest stages of her pregnancy, videos from Instagram Lives and nightclub appearances circulated online, leading many viewers to question her behavior while expecting. Some widely shared clips were interpreted by viewers as showing her drinking alcohol, including references to pineapple Ciroc, smoking marijuana, and attending clubs while visibly pregnant, although these allegations fueled significant online debate. At the same time, Blueface publicly questioned whether he was the child's father, repeatedly calling for DNA testing while their personal disagreements played out across social media. Instead of remaining private, the pregnancy became one of the internet's biggest ongoing spectacles, with both parents exchanging accusations while the public watched every development. Chrisean Jesus Malone, also referred to in some reports as Chrisean Jesus Porter, was born on September 3, 2023. Parts of the birth were even live-streamed on Instagram, bringing even more attention to an already highly publicized situation. Blueface later claimed that a private DNA test showed he was not the father, while Chrisean released test results that she said confirmed he was. Meanwhile, Blueface's mother, Carlissa Saffold, publicly accused Chrisean of using drugs during her pregnancy and alleged that the baby was born with medical complications that she wasn't disclosing. As the child grew older, many social media users began commenting on videos they believed showed developmental delays, including concerns about walking, speech, motor skills, and responsiveness. Those observations quickly led to widespread speculation online, with many people discussing possible prenatal substance exposure and repeatedly mentioning fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, despite no public medical diagnosis confirming those claims. Blueface later acknowledged that his son had speech delays while rejecting broader conclusions about any specific disability and instead criticizing Chrisean's parenting. Then came the interview that reignited the debate. During her 2025 appearance on the Danza Project, Chrisean stood firmly by her beliefs instead of backing away from the criticism. She spoke openly about her faith, expressing confidence that her son would be okay, and emphasizing her belief that in the end, God's plan carries greater weight than any prediction people may make.
He's growing.
Amen.
I've been keeping him off the internet on purpose.
She explained that keeping her son away from social media was a deliberate choice. According to Chrisean, she wanted him to grow and reach his milestones in private so she could prove people wrong on her own terms instead of allowing the internet to judge every stage of his development in real time.
Just give him his privacy for him. I mean, I'll show him, but I don't know. I just like to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah.
Because I believe in Jesus and I believe, I don't know.
Then came the statement that completely changed the conversation. One sentence was all it took for commentary channels across the internet to explode with reactions and non-stop debate. The backlash was immediate and incredibly intense. Content creators who had followed Chrisean Rock's story from the very beginning suddenly found themselves speaking to an entirely new audience. People who had never watched Baddies, never followed the Blueface drama, and knew nothing about her past were suddenly watching viral clips of a mother responding to concerns about her son's development by leaning on her faith instead of medical opinions. Those videos quickly spread far beyond hip-hop and celebrity gossip circles. They reached parts of YouTube where viewers had no connection to the original story and little interest in the background or context. Instead of seeing years of complicated events, many began researching her entire history from the beginning. They revisited old pregnancy footage, connected it to the newer interviews, and started analyzing her life as though it were a public case study rather than a personal journey.
It's your fault. Your activities while you were pregnant caused your child to be affected.
That criticism only grew stronger, and it wasn't fading anytime soon. Many commentators argued that when developmental delays are suspected, early intervention is extremely important because every stage of a child's development matters. They believed that every month spent relying solely on faith instead of seeking professional evaluation could also mean missing valuable opportunities for therapy, specialized support, and early developmental services that may benefit a child.
And this child's going to need support. And you're trying to manifest all this stuff.
To be fair, there's one important detail that many videos and headlines completely overlook. Chrisean later confirmed that by the time Lil Jr. was around 2.5 years old, he had already started receiving physical therapy. She shared that he was making gradual progress during his sessions and emphasized that real work was being done behind the scenes. So, according to her, she wasn't refusing medical care for her son. However, she continued pushing back against claims that he should be given a disability label, and when that position was combined with the previously circulated pregnancy footage, public opinion became even more divided. Once those two issues were connected, the internet simply refused to move on from the story. Then another unexpected twist pushed the controversy even further. Christine's sister, Teseki Latifah Malone, appeared on Hollywood Unlocked with Jason Lee and introduced an entirely new layer to the conversation. During the interview, Jason Lee brought up one of Christine's former partners, a man who had publicly claimed he believed he was the father of Lil Jr. before the DNA dispute was settled. According to public reports, that man was later shot multiple times while sitting inside his vehicle outside his home in broad daylight and died from the attack. No arrests were made in connection with the case. Before his death, he had reportedly been pursuing a DNA test and, according to multiple accounts, genuinely believed he could be the child's biological father. What caught viewers' attention was Teseki's reaction when Jason Lee raised the subject. Instead of immediately dismissing the claims, she responded carefully, choosing her words with caution while still engaging with the conversation, and that only fueled even more speculation across social media.
I mean, I saw that online. That was real?
Yes, that was.
And you knew, did you know him?
So yes, I fed that boy.
She acknowledged that she personally knew the man and said he had spent time around the family, even sharing meals with them on multiple occasions. When Jason Wee began asking more direct questions about the circumstances surrounding his death, she answered with extreme caution, carefully choosing every word, as if one wrong statement could create an even bigger controversy.
From if I was to speak on it, it don't look too good for certain people that we know. So I'm not going to speak on it.
Well, because it's just there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I'm not the police, but I'll just...
It's important to separate verified facts from online speculation. No criminal charges have ever been filed against Chrisean in relation to that case, and no public investigation has officially identified or connected her to the man's death in any way.
When she was out in public.
He did, and then he had a paternity test coming up.
And then it was all online.
And then it was pow, pow, pow. No paternity test. I'm sorry.
What made those remarks from Taseki resonate so strongly wasn't that they proved any allegation. They didn't. The real impact came from the fact that the comments were made by Chrisean's own sister, which gave the discussion an entirely different level of attention. When Chrisean later addressed the issue during her interview with the Danza Project, she pushed back directly against the speculation. She explained that she was under court-ordered probation supervision at the time, making any involvement in the incident practically impossible from a logistical standpoint, and described the accusations as a painful betrayal. Even after hearing her response, the internet remained deeply divided, with people continuing to form their own opinions. And that's one part of this story that has never received a clear or universally accepted conclusion. Then came the arrest that changed everything. The events of June 10, 2024 unfolded in a way that almost felt unbelievable. Chrisean arrived at the Van Nuys courthouse in the San Fernando Valley with her baby, intending to support Blueface during his probation hearing. What she didn't expect, or perhaps chose to face anyway, was that law enforcement officers were already waiting for her arrival. She was taken into custody almost immediately, as both the Oklahoma fugitive warrant and the California assault case caught up with her at the same time, all while she was still holding her child. In many ways, it marked the moment years of legal problems finally collided in one place. Just 4 days later, on June 14th, she was sentenced to 30 days in jail, placed on 12 months of probation, and ordered to stay away from James Wright and the venue connected to the assault case, while the battery charge was dismissed. After completing her sentence in California, she was transferred to Oklahoma and booked into the Craig County Detention Center, where the outstanding felony case from 2022 was finally moving towards its conclusion. For what seemed like the first time since becoming a public figure, there were no Instagram lives, no online distractions, and no social media drama to shift attention away from reality. There was no back and forth with Blueface, no viral controversy to dominate the headlines. She was left alone with the consequences of her decisions, and based on everything she has shared since then, that period behind bars became the turning point that forced her to see her life from an entirely different perspective.
I had to take care of my responsibilities and obligations with my legal.
Surprisingly, what she said she found behind those prison walls wasn't anger or another emotional collapse, it was peace. Chrisean explained that she prayed for her jail cell to become a place of spiritual healing, describing it as a hospital for her soul rather than just a prison cell. Looking back, she said she had been carrying her faith through every nightclub appearance, every courtroom battle, every social media feud, and every chaotic chapter of her life without ever slowing down long enough to truly reflect. According to her, the outside world never gave her the structure or stillness to stop running. In her view, it wasn't until she lost her freedom that she was finally forced to confront herself, and that's the moment she believes real change began.
3 months kind of isolated me and disciplined me. I went back being a kid again, like when told to use the phone, eat, sleep, wake up.
During her time behind bars, Chrisean said she committed herself to reading the Bible from beginning to end. She shared that one of her cellmates owned a modern translation written in more everyday language, and together they spent time studying it. According to Chrisean, everything changed while reading the story of Jonah. She said that in the middle of the passage, she felt something so powerful that it wasn't just emotional, it felt physical. In her own words, she believed she was experiencing the presence of the Holy Spirit in that very moment. She described breaking into what she called speaking in tongues as an expression of worship. From there, she said her faith continued to grow stronger each day. Eventually, she began leading Bible study sessions inside the detention facility, where she claimed other women started embracing their faith through those gatherings. That's what makes this chapter of her story so unexpected. A woman once known for vile fights, assault charges, and nonstop controversy now says she found herself leading prayer circles inside an Oklahoma jail. Whether people believe every detail or not, even Chrisean acknowledged how dramatic that transformation appeared when compared to the public image she had carried for years.
That's sad.
Like I was real suicidal.
One of the most surprising parts of Chrisean's story is how she described experiencing jail itself.
While many people see incarceration as something designed to strip away a person's identity, she said the structure and routine actually felt strangely familiar because she grew up in an environment marked by financial hardship, instability, and uncertainty. Living with rules, limitations, and constant challenges wasn't something new to her. It was the reality she knew long before fame, money, and social media entered her life. Once the celebrity image, the internet drama, and the non-stop attention disappeared, she said she wasn't left feeling empty. Instead, she felt like she had reconnected with a version of herself she hadn't seen in years. During that same period, she also made another major decision by replacing the attorney who had been handling her case. According to Chrisean, the legal advice she was receiving involved accepting a deal that could have resulted in a 4-year sentence with the possibility of serving around 2 years behind bars. She chose not to accept it, explaining that after praying about the decision, she didn't believe it was the right path for her. Eventually, the case was resolved without that lengthy prison sentence becoming reality. Around September 6 to 9, 2024, after spending roughly 3 months in custody, and shortly after her son's first birthday, she walked out of jail a free woman. The court proceedings may have closed the legal chapter, but according to her, the real transformation happened during the time no cameras were rolling, inside the cell itself. When Chrisean returned to Baltimore in September 2024, many people expected the same headlines to continue. Instead, she moved into a new home and began recording a song that she said was inspired by the quiet moments she experienced inside her jail cell, where even the echo from the concrete walls helped shape its melody. That song, titled Yahweh, was later released in April 2025 as her first gospel single. She collaborated with Tim Bowman Jr., Arissa, and Faith City Music before performing it live and eventually joining the worship team at Faith City Central in Baltimore. Suddenly, the woman once known for viral reality TV fights and constant controversy was standing on a church stage leading worship in front of a congregation that cared far more about faith than internet drama. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Some people saw it as one of the most genuine personal transformations in recent memory, while others questioned whether it was simply another reinvention designed to repair her public image. Considering her past, that skepticism wasn't completely unexpected. She had spoken about turning over a new leaf before, only to find herself pulled back into familiar situations weeks later. This time, however, supporters pointed to something more tangible than emotional interviews. In June 2025, an Oklahoma court granted her early termination of probation, even though it wasn't originally scheduled to end until late 2026. Chrisean publicly shared the official paperwork, credited Jesus for the outcome, and celebrated it as a major victory. Regardless of how anyone viewed the religious message, the legal document itself confirmed that the court had reviewed her progress and determined she had earned an early release from supervision. That meant the drug case that had followed her since February 2022, the same one that triggered the probation violation, fugitive warrant, arrest, and extradition, had finally come to an end. Instead of facing the lengthy prison sentence many once predicted, she was free. She also stated that she was sober, practicing celibacy, and consistently attending church throughout the week. At the same time, she wasn't disappearing from the spotlight. In April 2026, she made her professional boxing debut at X-Rumble and earned a split decision victory after training seriously for the event. Even boxing champion Clarissa Shields publicly praised the discipline and commitment she showed throughout her preparation. For someone whose name had long been associated with viral altercations and reality television, receiving recognition from one of boxing's greatest athletes represented an entirely different kind of achievement. That doesn't mean every legal issue instantly disappeared. A bench warrant surfaced in early 2026 over a traffic-related matter connected to an alleged suspended license violation from December 2025 in Hermosa Beach. Chrisean disputed the allegation, saying her license carried work-related restrictions rather than a full suspension, and stated she was taking steps to resolve the issue. Unlike her earlier criminal cases, this appeared to be a lingering administrative matter rather than the beginning of another major legal crisis. That distinction is important when trying to evaluate whether someone's life is genuinely changing or simply repeating old patterns. During the Danza Project interview, Chrisean also revealed that she had struggled with suicidal thoughts at one point in her life. She didn't present those experiences for sympathy or attention. Instead, she spoke about them openly, suggesting that acknowledging those painful moments publicly was itself part of the healing process she says she's now committed to.
When Chrisean spoke about that chapter of her life, she didn't sound like someone putting on a show. She openly admitted that she had spent years in an extremely dark place, and said that after rewatching old Crazy in Love episodes, she realized something heartbreaking. She was never truly happy. There may have been moments where alcohol temporarily masked the pain, but genuine happiness, according to her, simply wasn't there. She also revealed that she once struggled with thoughts of ending her life, but never acted on them because fear held her back.
Looking back now, she believes that same fear ultimately kept her alive long enough to reach a point where life finally felt worth living. What makes Chrisean Rock's story different from many celebrity legal controversies is that so much of it is backed by publicly available evidence rather than rumors alone. The videos that sparked criticism during her pregnancy exist. The court documents showing her early probation termination exist. Her Craig County mugshot exists. Her gospel single was officially released. Her professional boxing victory is part of the public record. None of these moments rely solely on someone's personal version of events, because nearly every major chapter unfolded in front of cameras, court records, social media, or official documents. That's why the biggest question surrounding Chrisean today isn't whether her past happened. It clearly did. The real debate is whether people are willing to judge her only by the mistakes she made years ago, or also by the person she's trying to become now. And that's ultimately for every viewer to decide. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more deep dives into stories like this, be sure to check out the next video on your screen.